Another great question came in from Reddit. It says, how do I make my waveform look like the bottom one? So in short, they're describing what mastering is. So they're taking this waveform here and making it more like a brick and filled out to where it has a little more intensity and more energy. I'll show you how to do it pretty quickly and pretty simply in your DAW. So basically here, we're looking at the purple stuff as like the gap or the volume that isn't maximized, so to speak. And the bottom one, you see there's less of the coloring and there's more black, which is showing the track, meaning more dense and full. So I'm taking this track here that's pretty loud already, and we're going to run it through some processing, and then we'll record the difference between, record the difference between each stage. Okay, so firstly, we got to just get it at a decent level. So this is kind of arbitrary, but the main thing you want to leave is what's called headroom. So headroom, think of it like space on a computer. You just want to, you can't shove a bunch of plugins when you have no headroom to even fit the plugins. So think of it like space on a computer. Okay, so let's send this to the mixer. Let's hit Control L. And what we'll do is we will record each step. Okay, so the first step is how do we shave down these pointy parts to make them less pointy? Now the track is already soft clipped through Logic, but you see some of these have points that we could shave down technically. So anytime you see a lot of ups and downs and a lot of sharp curvature, you can probably take off the sharp curvature without harming the track, which allows you to push it a little bit harder. So let's start with K-Clip. This is a really good plugin. They updated it. It used to crash, but now it doesn't crash in FL. So we're going to turn the soft mode on, and then all we have to do is pump the volume in, okay, and it will get rid of the transient material. Now you don't want to push the sound too hard through the soft clipper, because what can happen is you can actually shave off too much of the curvature, and then it just sounds like a square and not exciting sounding. So this is the exaggerated sound where there's no curvature at all. Then we can pull it back. Seems like a fair amount. So let's record this into Edison just so we can see the difference. I'm only going to record like 4 bars. Let's record on song play. And then we'll visually see the difference between the curvature. Okay, so we'll stop it there. Okay, so I forgot we're not at the BPM. So we could send this to the playlist, and you could just visually see the tops are shaved off a lot more in this second image here. It's not as pointy, so we still get the energy behind the track. Maybe a little more dynamic in the top one, but don't really need that much dynamic in this specific type of track. Now, every track's completely different. You're not going to do this on every track. So now the question is, how do we turn the volume up basically of the quiet parts to pull them up to the louder parts? I'm going to use a free plugin because it's free. UA just came out with this plugin, or not came out with. They released this plugin for free. It's called the LA2A. It's a classic compressor. Usually it's used on vocals, but I'm going to use it on the beat just to show that you can use different compressors. Now, what we're going to do here is shave. We're basically going to look. Now, the threshold is set by default too. I should mention that going in. So these are preset thresholds. But basically, if you have a certain compressor where you can set the threshold, you could pull up certain quiet sounds to match the louder sounds, and it makes the sound more filled out. So for this one, we're going to push it pretty heavy into this compressor. And now we're adding some of that dynamic back. So let's see the shape now that we've added this compressor. Let's record what that difference would look like visually. Let's record. Okay, so let's send this to the playlist. So now we can see it's more dense. Okay, let me move these markers here. Okay, so the second one is louder. So let me like at least make it fair to make it the same size. But you can see it's just more filled out. All those zones that were, all that gappiness is a little more filled out. You can see it when we zoom out. It's just more filled and more dense. That's what compressors do, is they fill stuff out. Okay. Now I'm pushing this so you can see the difference. Okay, I typically wouldn't push stuff this hard to where there's no transient activity at all. Okay, so the next thing you could do to add more harmonic content is saturation. So saturation, I'm going to use the SSL for this. You could use Isotopes Exciter. You could use Fab Filter Saturn. You could use SSL Vintage Drive. You could use Fruity Wave Shaper. There's so many saturator plugins out there. I only use a few though. I don't use all of them. I just like the SSL. So we're going to drive the signal to add a crunch to the sound. And it's adding what's called harmonic content to the sound. I'll exaggerate the sound so you can hear it. Listen to the snare go. Feel that. That's the drive. Now I'm exaggerating so you could hear it. You could even hear it on my, actually no. Okay, so let's pull it back so we're not. So that would add more harmonic content for you. Now you always have to go back and ask, are you compressing and taking off too much of the transient material? And the answer could be yes. So you don't want to overly compress or overly take off the transients because then you lose the whole up and downness of your track. So let's compare each one. This one feels a little more soft, mainly because we took away those transients. Okay, so another cool way to kind of slam it without taking away so much energy is this soft clipper called Classic Clipper by T-Rex. So IK Multimedia has one of the most secret weapons of all time. It's called the Classic Clipper. This is perfect for hip hop. I'm going to put it on the soft clip mode and just push the input. You can push it pretty heavy. I usually only push it to about 3 dB of gain reduction, but you can push this pretty heavily without even knowing that it's on. And this way you still have the intensity of your track. Oh, I forgot we had all these plugins on. Okay, so this is what I would normally do. I was just showing you the other stuff so you get the concepts. Now let's record going into this Classic Clipper. Okay, and then we'll compare the waveform to the original. So you can just visually see the soft clipper is just more dense. I'm also going to pull it down to level match here visually. It just looks a little more dense. Just zooming out, I can kind of visually see this one's more filled out as opposed to the first one doesn't have as much fullness or density. So that's a secret plugin that doesn't take away so much dynamic. First one's just a little louder. So what this allows you to do is chop off those transients. If you have a really pointy audio, you could chop off those transients and then push your volume louder because now you have more headroom, more space to add plugins. Okay, so let's push it a little bit further and be a little bit quicker here. So Isotope has a really good, where is it at? Isotope, where is it? Oh, the Ozone 10, okay. So Ozone 10 has a new setup. They even have Ozone 11 now. I need to check it out. But Ozone 10 is really good because they have a new feature in here. So before you even go to, it says some components might be missing. So if it tweaks out, that's why. But in their maximizer, they now have this soft clip mode. And you can put it on high mode without it even sounding like you're clipping. So I like to push this before going into the limiter. Get a lot of volume out of this thing. Now, I would not push it this hard. I'm just showing you. Okay, so let's record that output. Again, I'm pushing it hard, for example. I would not push it this hard for the beat specifically. So let's record this. Now you could probably pull out more loudness with like a couple plugins here or there, but the main thing is just soft clipping and then turning the volume up, usually through a compressor. and to fill it out more. That's pretty much it. You're not going to, all the other plugins, you know, the drive and all that, that's just extra character adding. You don't necessarily need it. So that's how you turn this waveform into that waveform. And let's play it like back to back just to get like an A-B type situation going, just so you guys can see how loud the final version is. Now, again, I would not push my beats this loud, just by the way. For all the people saying level match, okay. Okay, but you can visually see one is a lot more dense than the other, okay? Again, I wouldn't push the track this hard. I just wanted to answer the question as to how do you make your waveform look like that? Okay, so whenever you see a linear waveform, they're probably doing some form of soft clipping or hard clipping to create that linear approach to the transients. And to fill it out more, they're probably using a compressor or a limiter to, you know, take those quiet sounds and pull them up higher to the loud sounds. So that's how you get the sound to look more like that, just to answer his question. If you want to learn more, we have courses. Just go to premium.busyworksbeats.com. Look for the Mixing Fundamentals course, and you can join out for a free trial for the first, 14 days is free. All right, thank you guys for watching. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com.